Hello everybody, in this video I'll be showing you how I've been farming obsidian weapons on Akatiti Jungle on insane difficulty. I found that doing it on insane can yield up to ultimate tier weapons. So I would imagine on nightmare you would get a lot higher. But as you can see, this one's a transcendent that I got on insane and the stats are pretty decent. So the heroes you'll need for this is a monk, a huntress, a series EV, a summoner, and then most importantly a good DPS character that has high resistances, and also preferably a genie so you can upgrade your mainly buff beams and auras. Here's also another sword I've gotten. It's also Transcendence. This is also from Insane, and the stats are pretty good. Also, if you have some kind of wired controller or something that can bring another one of your characters into the map, that will also be very helpful because you can farm twice as many rewards. However, the boss will have more health, so depending on how good your DPS character is, you might not want to do that. So like I said, we'll be doing this on Insane. So starting out on our monk, we're just going to place one aura stack at each main area. And make sure you get all the turtles on this map. There's 4 turtles in total, and they each give 150 mana on Insane. If you're doing this on hard, the turtles only give 100 mana. So the build might be a little bit different on the first wave, but other than that, it should be the same towards the end. So now I'm just going to run around the map and get the rest of the chests and the turtles. So now that we have the rest of the mana, I'm going to switch to my Huntress. And we're basically going to put down a Proximity Mine and Inferno Trap at each of the choke points, so there's 4 in total. And then lastly, we're going to switch to our Series EV to put down some buff beams and some reflector walls. So right here, I put down a 60 buff beam, and then 3 1D reflectors, blocking off all the entrances. I'm doing the same thing on the other side. And with the rest of the mana, we'll be putting down 4 archers on our summoner. So I just put them at the ends of each buff beam. So right there, and here, and then same thing on the other side. Then you'll be switching to your DPS character, preferably with the genie, and you're going to want to try to upgrade your buff beams as much as you can on the first wave. As you can see, I was only able to get 1 3-star. If you have a better genie, you could probably get both maxed. But next we're going to go back to our Series EV and put some walls down. If your stats are high enough on your summoner and you can kill the ogres really quick, then you probably don't need any physical beams, but my stats on my summoner are kind of low and the ogres tend to cause problems, so I like to put walls down to kind of mitigate some of that. And also I like putting the reflector or the physical beams in front of the reflectors, that way when the ogres come up and are whacking on this and they shoot another spitball, it won't, if you have the reflectors in front, the spitball will just go through and hit all your stuff anyway. So I put the walls in front of the reflectors. And that's it for the main build, and then the rest we just have to fill in with summoner units. So I put down 2 spiders and a mage on this side. And you can just stay on your summoner for this wave. As long as you have your buff beams leveled up, it's not that big of a deal. However, your summoning speed will be a lot slower. So then I just have 2 on this beam. So I think it's So it's pretty much the same thing on this side, but we only have enough minion units to put down one spider and one mage. So you're going to kind of have to put it in the middle and hope that they can reach both sides. On this side, I would recommend moving your archers that are on the edges a little bit closer in to make sure they can get healed by the mage minion. Since there's only one, you're going to have everything closer together to make sure they get healed. But that's pretty much the build. I'll be fast forwarding, and then I'll show you the boss fight at the end. This is a common problem that I've noticed on this map, is that there'll be a bunch of stuck mobs like right around this area on the map. So just make sure you look out for those. So now that's the final wave. Now is when you need to bring in your second characters. That's if you want multiple rewards at the end. So I'm going to be bringing in two. I'm going to be bringing in my Aura Monk and my Summoner. This way, their towers that they built will get boosted. So just make sure you have these spawned in before the wave starts. Because if you're on hardcore, then they won't spawn in, and then you won't get any rewards. But as you can see, I've upgraded all my minions to 1 star, except for the spiders. I don't really know if that does anything. And I've also upgraded my walls. Depending on how good your stats are, or what you're having problems with during the wave is what I would recommend upgrading, but generally you want to upgrade your buff beams and auras and traps first. Also another thing is on the Jester, the wheel, you can activate the wheel, and if you get all 3 healing potions, it'll heal all your defenses on the map. So I found that to be very helpful on this map if a lot of your defenses are taking damage. It's just an easy way to heal everything. Also, having multiple characters, you can see there's 2,400 enemies, so having more characters increases the amount of enemies there are in the last wave, and will also increase the health of the boss. So if you don't have a very good DPS character, or your stats aren't very high, I would only recommend like only using one character to beat the boss, or on the last wave. So now the boss is coming. If your resistances aren't very good, you can sacrifice some of the physical beams we put down and put a healing aura down here. That'll just help you heal up if you're taking too much damage. Also, another thing I forgot to mention is that it doesn't matter what extra characters you bring in, as in terms of what type of reward you're going to get, because it's all completely random. So even if you have a Countess, you could still get like the Apprentice Staff or the Monk weapon. So as you can see, he has 292 million health. When I've done this in the past with only 2 characters, and he only had like 200,000 like even. So it just depends on how many characters you bring in. Also, this area of fighting him is kind of obnoxious because there's a lot of enemies that spawn from here. But depending on how good your weapon is, pretty much I just hold down both mouse buttons because I'm using an apprentice weapon, and then eventually, if you take too much damage, you can kind of run back into the auras back here and just heal up a little bit. That way any trash mobs like that run towards you will get killed by the auras. And you kind of run back out here and keep attacking him. And sometimes I just go in and just clear out all the trash just to make it easier to fight him. But depending on how many projectiles your staff has, a lot of times the stray ones will just go behind him and just kill extra stuff, so it's not always that important. But also another thing is you make sure you do not get webbed. If you get webbed by a spider, you're pretty much dead because you can't heal and you pretty much can't move either, so make sure you're always constantly moving and not getting webbed. Also, another thing is if you have a DPS pet, you could put that on in the last wave because you don't really need mana unless you're like constantly healing. So as you saw there, I got webbed and I pretty much almost died, but just if that happens, just try to run away and kill the spiders and then run into your auras and heal. Also, you might have saw that one of my physical beams went down. That will probably happen because he'll spew like rockets up towards your defenses. But even if that happens, you don't really have to worry about it because your minions will serve as like a makeshift wall. And they can also heal themselves with the mage, so... Yeah, so now you can get rid of your other two characters, and I'll show you the rewards that you get. So you get a bunch of stuff, but the main thing we're after is the Obsidian weapon. So here's one that has pretty decent stats. And then I got this one which has really good stats. And here's the other one, which is pretty shit. But you can also see I got all these extra items, a bunch of weapons and stuff, so also some pets. They're pretty bad, but they sell for a decent amount, so yeah, that's my tutorial on farming obsidian weapons, and that's how I've been doing it. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see anything else, just let me know in the comments.